Good evening, November Foxtrot.
We're alive.
Sorry we're late. We're trying to get Lance into the chat. We seem to be having a few teething problems. So I'm just sending him the link on every possible device that I have.
Because we've had so much time off, he's forgotten what we're doing.
How is everybody doing?
Well, apparently there's a lot of we're late, but you're all sending these messages at 8 o'clock. So no, we're not late. Rein it in.
Lance's laptop is having a few issues, so he will join us in a little bit.
How
are you, Andy?
I'm feeling a lot better. How are you feeling?
I am still feeling rubbish.
Oh yeah.
I think the real crux of it was I was rewatching the last episode we did, and James from Defiant was like, "Oh, Mike still looks tired from the weekend." I was starting to come down with it at that point. It has properly wiped me out. It's been an absolute nightmare.
It's been horrid, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's not been fun at all. All right.
All right. yeah. Well,
sorry,
James,
I'm reading messages from Lance at the same time, trying to help him out. Lance, I've also Facebooked you the link if that helps. Anyway, hi Marky Mark, hi Philip Dunn, Fresh Meat, Andrew Taylor, John McLaughlin, Kieran, Rooftop Rambo, Kenny Rebel, Defiant Event, Terry, Matthew McCarthy, Les, Daniel, James, Will, Rage. Hello. Welcome back. We're here. Woo!
Half of us. Half of us?
Yeah, half of us.
No, not over half.
I'm still feeling rough. I can feel it. I don't know if it's coming across in
you look
my
sexy.
I look. Thank you.
You look attractive. You don't look like you've been ill.
Do I look like I'm still ill? Oh, hi Danny. Welcome back. And Danny, happy birthday, by the way, for the other day.
Oh, happy birthday.
For another year. Yeah. Defiant says Operation Machiavellian broke Machiavellian. I can't pronounce that. Broke NoFo. They had to take time off, and Andy only showed up for 30 minutes.
It was 15, actually. Thank you very much. It was a great event.
Andy, do you want to just talk about your bit, Andy, as to why you struggled?
Oh, mine. My Machiavellian event was amazing. So on the Friday, we got a machine stuck in the pipes, and I was on my way, packed and ready to go, and I was halfway up the motorway, and then got a phone call saying you're the only one with the confined space qualification. We need you to come back and get out our multi-million-pound bit of equipment. And I was like, great.
Yeah.
And then I was there because we were blocking one of London's major sewerways. So yeah, didn't get home until about 5 o'clock Saturday morning. Thought I'd have a kip. Slept all the way through till about 10 o'clock. And then I was like, right, I'll just turn up Saturday morning. Turned up Saturday morning, and unfortunately, the way the game had turned out was that it was only about half an hour of a bit of a black left. Not blaming anyone at all. It's just the way things worked out. But then went and had lunch with Lance and Mike.
Yeah.
At services.
Which was quite pleasant.
Which was very pleasant. And then we all fell ill, probably from the services. That was my event. James, I did not do a feedback form, just to let you know.
We'll talk about the event more when Lance is here, because I know that he is super keen.
Yeah, he's super keen. He's probably raging right now. And
he's probably properly raging right now. I was going to roll into the news as well, but unfortunately, he's got most of the news items.
He's got a load. He's got all the news items, because I bought nothing while I was here.
Well, I've got a couple of things that we can maybe... I don't know how long he's going to be. Let's roll into the news, and
we'll do two news segments. We'll do Lance's news. We'll do Lance.
I take my gun and I go pew 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 pew.
News. So, in the news this week that I saw, a couple of websites have gone down that are airsoft related. So there's a few airsoft kind of second-hand stores that are It doesn't look like they've paid their license, basically. So if you are struggling with some of these airsoft shops or anything online, and you're trying to sort of get rid of secondhand pews, it's possible that they just haven't paid their license. Which was not a particularly exciting bit of news, but I thought it was interesting at least.
Who? Which companies? We can name them.
This was, I think it was Used Airsoft.
All right.
Was the one that I came across. There was another one that somebody was talking about in the chat as well. So yeah, that was exciting. One product that I did want to talk about briefly, and I'd be interested if anyone has either used this or sort of something similar, is these electronically heated jackets and things that you can
weird.
buy. So yeah, so there's a company on Kickstarter that are trying to kind of drum up business for their electronically heated stuff sack, which the premise of that is that you can obviously store bits of kit in there to dry out, and obviously, you know, if you've got wet kit that you kind of want to give a chance to dry out while it's packed, that was one use for it. But the other use as well is that you can fold it out and use it as a thermal sort of aid when you're sleeping, and sort of just tuck yourself away with it in your sleeping bag, and it helps just provide a little bit of extra warmth. I don't know if anyone's used anything like that. I must admit, there was a couple of times at the last event where it got proper chilly, and it would have been nice to have a little sort of heated blanket instead of having to cuddle up to the guys next to me, which was just as good. But it would be interesting to see if anyone uses any sort of electronic heating devices. So if you have, and you're in the chat at the moment, let us know. I'd be interested to know what you use. Do you use anything like that, Andy?
No, I'll just put extra layers on or freeze. I bought electric hand warmers that apparently last for 48 hours, but I never got to try them. So they're still charged, sitting in my bag that is still fully packed from Machiavellian, which is really annoying. But yeah, I haven't used them. But they look good. They're about yay big, a bit bigger than penis size.
Yeah. See, James is saying an electric blankie for Milsim. Oh, bless. I'm not talking about having an electric blanket per se, but the thing I was thinking about was, and we'll come on to this in a little bit, but the OP that we had set up was very exposed. So if you had something that you could lay out and then subsequently lay on, it would allow you to stay in that position for longer. I know James is always like, you know, hardcore Milsim, you've got to be as fucking uncomfortable as possible, and that's the only way that you can have fun. I disagree slightly on that concept, but ultimately, you know, if it makes it a little bit more bearable, then it means that you're able to focus more on what you're doing instead of you know, just trying to keep the cold out.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, it's a company called Hot Pocket, and it is apparently designed to give warmth with one click. It's a multifunctional camp heater that weighs a few ounces and recharges with solar batteries. Solar charges, sorry. So, Kenny says if it's heat controllable, would be good for storage of gas mags overnight. John just said it's called a roll mat. Yeah, granted, a roll mat would do the same thing. I do appreciate that. It was just an idea. Don't be so negative.
Although talking about roll mats as in general, has anyone else on Facebook or Instagram been inundated by that Kilos inflatable ground mat? I think I sent you a link,
possibly.
Mike. Kilos gear,
yeah.
where it just seems to be everywhere. I'm just wondering, has anyone actually bought one yet? Because it looks like it could be quite good.
I haven't. I do have the link now constantly pop up.
Yeah. Like all the time, every advert, it's on. And I was just wondering if anyone.
Sorry, Ray just said, so you want a solar-powered heated jacket, and you don't see why we would have to mock you. All right, first off, it's not a heated jacket. It's a stuff sack. So it's designed for you to put things in, and it keeps those things warm. For example, drying out wet kit, for example. I thought that would be quite a useful thing. But having the other ability that it's multi-purpose on that front, because it folds out and you could subsequently use it as a heater, I didn't see as a negative thing. Apparently, everyone on Milsim's proper hard.
Yeah.
That was really weird. I should never do inverted quotes on the word hard, but
Yeah.
double ARD. That was
Hard.
Yeah. Kevin says, remember, fail to prepare is preparing to fail.
Predating.
Preparing to fail. Oh, here we go. Rage has got a comment on those mats. He says they're shit. My mate bought one. His kid jumped on it, and when it was inflated and the seam split, apparently.
No. Yep. No, that's fine. Yeah, it was just that they just seem to be getting more and more popular on the adverts, and I was like, well.
No, I know I keep
wondering if
getting the
anyone
adverts because I think it's because you linked it to me.
Ha!
Then,
Yeah,
thanks
we all share the pain. You can get rid of them. You can get rid of adverts. You can hit the little cross in the top right hand corner.
Yeah, but it hides all the random Wish advert ones that I get as well, which I genuinely don't know how I get some of those. So I get some.
They
weird
go
stuff
off your
from Wish.
browser history. They do.
No, they don't. They definitely don't.
Oh, they definitely do. Mine do. I had an egg fryer. I don't really fry eggs, but I enjoy looking at food.
Okay. Nick says, I have an infrared heated body warmer, quite thin and warm, normally use a power pack to heat if required, kept in the car for emergencies. So, Rage says it's like those bearskin jackets, they just have good marketing.
Yeah.
Right, James. So James has said he'll be recharging his electric blankie off of the laptop batteries from all the laptops that Defiant issues out. So James and Defiant, they run a feedback form after every event, and the feedback form includes the box. What could Defiant do better with this event? And I was fairly open and honest with it. And to be fair, I even put my name on the anonymous feedback form.
Yeah, it's meant to be anonymous. So
it's meant to be anonymous, but ultimately, if James is asking for my feedback, I'm going to give him my feedback and be honest and open about it. But in the particular tasking that we had, being a sort of a recce recon style event, there was a lot of emphasis on the collection of information and data. And I suggested that it would be quite useful having sort of a tablet or some sort of like mechanism in place to allow more electronic sharing of data, because the way that we were having to do it, and to be fair, it worked fine, but it was writing down the information on paper with a pencil, and then subsequently taking a picture of that and then submitting that over WhatsApp. And I thought it'd be quite a cool thing if and I appreciate there's a cost aspect to this, and James's point is that ultimately if the stuff gets damaged or fucked up, then that's a waste of money. But I thought it'd be quite a cool thing if you had the ability that you could do a little bit more like electronic interface rather than just relying on WhatsApp, because I always think WhatsApp's good and it's obviously a system that's out there and used. Especially for Op4 roles and bits and pieces like that, sort of submitting information across that. But I can't imagine a lot of NATO forces using WhatsApp. Maybe they do. Maybe I'm a bit naive. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with the way that it worked, but it was just a suggestion. And then James went on his high horse about how he hasn't got enough money to supply laptops to everybody. Otherwise, he'd be supplying thermal and night vision and tanks and heated accommodation and all of that. Lance's computer appears to have completely died. Well, hopefully he'll be getting on soon.
He's got a phone. He could jump on his phone. Just saying, Lance. Adapt and overcome.
Marky Mark says, yes, Andy, I've had a few ads pop up, but I put that down to the fact I've been looking at that sort of stuff and assumed it was targeted ads. Rage says, Thermarest are, in my humble opinion, the best ground mats you can get.
Oh, Thermarest are lovely.
Daniel says, eat baked beans for dinner and then you get your own warm air blower.
Yeah. I hear that was a thing anyway.
Sorry, I was reading Rage's. He says, to be fair, we didn't use WhatsApp as we were too busy in our electric blankets.
Yeah.
I'm bringing the channel into again.
You are, aren't you?
I know. Shall we start talking about? We'll mix the show up a little bit. So tonight we're going to be talking about specialist roles in Milsim, as well as doing a debrief Oh, here he is. Hey!
Here he is.
Hello.
You alright?
Oh my god. Yeah, not too bad.
Hey.
Defiant have just said Lance's laptop is fucked up. They should definitely issue you a new one.
Yeah. I need a new tough book, please. Thank you. Oh mate, don't ever not load your laptop up for 3 weeks because that is a massive ball ache. I opened WhatsApp on my laptop and I was like, what time are we convoying up to Op Mac? And I was like, what? The fuck? And I was like, oh no, it's got to go all the way. So I literally sat here watching WhatsApp going bing, 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 from whenever it was until now. And I was do apologise for my tardiness.
Yeah, I did particularly enjoy the fact you kept asking us for the link, and we're sitting here looking at it. For the link's in there at 9 times.
Yeah, I was sitting there going, lads, can I have the link, please? And then I got a picture of you put Poppy's really poorly. I was like, hang on a minute, you sent that the other day. And then that's when I tweaked. I was like, oh no, these messages are well old. My computer's got to catch up for about 9 days. But yeah, all good now.
All right. We kind of haven't really finished the news, so do you want to launch into what your purchases are and the things you've been making, Lance?
Yeah, because you bought half the
I know
world.
you've been super keen.
So
You've got all the news.
In one. So, okay, I bought right, let's do this really quickly. I bought some paracord there, 'cause that's to top up some other bits of gold. I've got some hand warmers and toe warmers there then. I've got some seam
This
seal.
feels like a generation game.
This is great. Yeah, this is brilliant.
Seam
Keep
seal
going.
for sealing up seams. I've got some new front grip handguard rails mounts for my DMR, that's that. Use that up max hand warmer, brilliant, love that. There's the green bit for it.
Got a cuddly toy.
I've got a new yoke from Kit Pest for my webbing. I've got some JJ's utility pouches. I've got a roll out dump pouch from Kit Pest, which is actually really good. Hang on, there it is. There's the dump pouch there. Got that. Anything else on there? No, that's that. 8 kilogram weight plates in my chest rig, and I've got a new Texas patch on the front, so it's really heavy. Ooh.
It's the Texas patch. That's what it is. You could hear that when that hit the ground.
Another patch there as well. Got 2 for 1, lovely. And I've done the zip on my bivvy bag. That's it.
That's it. End of the show now.
Oi! Right, see you later. God. Waited 15 minutes for that. Yeah, so. Yeah, I got a few bits done. been keeping myself busy, chaps. Keeping myself busy whilst you two been poorly. Oh, yeah. Oh,
You're right now.
It's nice to be back.
It is nice to be back, isn't it?
Hello, everybody.
I feel we've been away longer than just a week off.
Does, yeah.
I don't know how you guys feel.
Well,
but
It does
to
feel
me
like
it's
ages.
like
My laptop made it feel like it was years.
Yeah, years. Oh, I remember having this conversation months ago.
So Mike's lost his mind. Keeps sending the same message.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, all good. Yes. Oh, and someone actually did ask quickly. This is how good my memory is. Someone actually did ask, and I think it was Legion Mike when we had him on, was whether they still did Soldier magazine, and this is January's issue, 2023. So yes, they do still do Soldier magazine, Mike. If you are watching or listening back.
Is that not the same copy that we discussed a couple of episodes ago?
Yeah, that is the copy I got with
Yeah,
my
that is
smock
the copy.
jacket. But Mike said,
but we
"Oh,
had
good
it on
God."
screen.
So have you not signed up for it to be regular?
No, I don't think I
regular
can handle
subscriber.
it. To be honest, I've got more than enough in this book to be getting on with. And I mean kit and information, Mike. Before you
Yeah,
say
I mean the
weird.
awkward rub of the front cover, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Weird.
that was a bit.
It was the dumbbell.
It was the.
Like that
Is that
dumbbell.
what-
Nice.
Is that what you called it?
No comment, Your Honour.
Yeah.
Right, so let's wrap it back to Operation.
We're gonna whack the
Machiavellian.
whack.
Oh, I thought you were going to do.
Machiavellian.
You spent all that time finding an end of the news.
That's the end of the news.
That's the end of the news.
End
That's
of the
going to be
news.
our official end of news music.
News.
And well, no, we've ended now.
Do it again quickly.
And that's the end of the news. There you go.
Oh, hang on. I'm a bit slow. There it is.
As you can
It's a long
tell,
run. It's a long run from the news studio back to here. You know, back to the
This is
dungeon.
chaos. This episode. Next week
Back to
we'll
the
be more
dungeon.
professional. This is getting back into
No,
the
we
swing of
won't.
things.
We probably won't.
So, Defiant's recent event. I'm gonna defer a lot to Lance on this because obviously we've discussed that Andy was stuck down a sewer.
Andy had a nice drive.
How
was the drive? How was the drive to Norfolk for you, Andy, and back again?
Lovely. It wasn't that far actually. It only took an hour.
That's not bad.
What was your favourite part?
No.
Yeah. If you had to stop at any particular services.
Yeah.
What about matey at the toilet? I'm gone to the loo. If you had to be there, otherwise no one knows what we're on about, so don't worry about that.
No, we need to talk about it quickly. There was a man that came out of the toilet while we're having...
Is it Ponk?
With purpose. He came out the toilet with purpose, didn't he?
So has anyone seen the Ponk video? Where that Russian cartoon character walks like that with the three of them. Which is that video that I showed. That
Little
was him.
cashier like that, James. Yeah, that was mental, wasn't it? We stopped on the way after the op for a quick bite to eat at services, and this guy just come out the toilets. All he needed was a cloud of smoke behind him and Matthew Kelly, stars in their eyes. But mate, he'd come out of there with purpose, and he knew where he was going.
Yeah.
I've been here, and I need to get there, and I'm going.
I've been for a poo.
My mum loves me because she thinks I'm the best.
That was it.
Machiavellian.
It was us at the services taking the piss out of strangers.
yeah. We had to stay on site a bit longer for Andy's sake more than anything. Me and Mike wanted to get home. We were knackered, but we felt terrible for Andy. Op Macarena, right?
Op Macarena.
Yeah, Op McDonald's started on Friday night. We obviously rocked up. We turned up, I think, about 5:30.
Yeah, it was just dark. So yeah, about 5:30ish. Yes.
So we got our kit together. And the immediate tasking, we have already said this, but the concept of the event was more of like an intel gathering exercise. So it wasn't your kind of more classic shooty type milsim. It was like a force on force type thing. This was more of a Blue 4 basically putting OPs in place, establishing sort of proper Overwatch positions, gathering information, reporting out information back, building up packages in terms of taskings, assault packages and stuff like that, which were then sort of carried out at sort of more strategic points later in the event. With a bigger
I think this op was very much a build up to the second part, which is I think in August. Am I wrong? Maybe.
Yeah. I think so.
Defiant will correct me. But yeah, I think this is like the initial boots on the ground, building up target packages and that for a future op, if you like. So yeah, it was very much July. Sneaky, catchy monkey, but no monkeys were caught. It was just watchy monkeys. This for that op. Not washing monkeys. I wasn't washing any monkeys. I was watching them closely, quietly from the bushes. But yeah, so that basically. Go on.
Your bush tactics were excellent, I thought.
Our bush etiquette, all four of us, me, Mark, and Alex, was on point. I'm not gonna lie. We handled the bush well. It was quite intimidating when we first clapped eyes on the bush on Friday night. We were all we was all taken aback at the size of it to start with, weren't we? And like the task that lay before us of trimming the bush so we could all get in there. So there was enough room for all four of us at once. Basically, that was the aim of Friday night, was to basically put in an LUP under the sort of beady eyes of the Op 4, if you like, that we were trying to observe. And I think we've done that rather well, if I'm honest. Did you have Vajazzle? No problem.
Sorry, Defiant have said no, there won't be a follow-on. I have a feeling that Machiavellian Bravo is going to be a similar type event to Machiavellian.
Oh, I like
then
that.
Kevin says, this monkey was shot,
make this
I'm an ex-monkey.
Ex-monkey. Did you name the bush?
We didn't name the bush, did we?
Oh, that's disappointing.
We know where it is.
We called it home.
We called it home.
There was definitely literally to give you some context. We rocked up on the Friday. We kind of got going into the game zone at 7. We hit our LUP location where we wanted to establish an LUP at about 8 o'clock. Set a perimeter, and then Lance, bless him, basically just laid at the start of this bush and started tunneling in with his secateurs and a pair of gloves. And that was Lance for about the next 2 hours, just cutting his way through the bush. Alex and myself and Mark sort of took it in turns to either provide perimeter cover.
There they are.
So we were either providing cover or basically following Lance in, raking the stuff that he was cutting out of the way to give him a bit more maneuverability to allow him to kind of expand the inside. And we ended up coming up with quite a good defensive position. So I will find some pictures while you guys are talking about it. But that was a very thorny bush because it was a proper full-on dense.
Oh, these were like
bush.
Some of them, like the base one, was like as thick as my wrist, and it was just like,
yeah.
This is like something that what's her name put in front of the castle to stop old Prince Amazing getting to sleeping. What's it?
Sleeping.
What's her name? Maleficent. That's it. Maleficent. You know the big fawn. Oh, Christ, Maleficent's in the area, lads. Watch yourselves. She's a bastard.
Did your hands heal? Because your hands look like
I've still got something trying to work its way out of that finger there on the side. There's a huge lump with some sort of form type thing underneath it. That finger's not really faring much better. No, if I'm honest, no, the hands are still not healed.
That doesn't look
That's
like
all. Far from it. They're still cut to ribbons. And I had gloves on as well for anyone else.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I don't know how we didn't get any cuts on our faces, but it's just our hands. I mean, Mike had fingerless gloves on at one point, and he was like really struggling now. I was like, it was like a Dumb and Dumber moment. You know when he's got like extra gloves on and the mate is freezing to death? I was like, maybe you should use my spare full finger gloves for the time being.
Thanks, Lance.
He's like, it's like bleeding. He's like, you've had these gloves this whole time?
So this was our little. I'll try and make the picture a bit bigger. So this was hand sculpted bush. So there were 4 guys in here. There's Mark in the background there. So bear in mind, 4 guys kit.
That's everything. Bergens, weapons, the lot. Yep. Belt kit, everything in there.
All the shelter and everything like that. We obviously had the hide in there as well that Lance has been making.
Yeah, that looks excellent.
I think I've just got a photo behind me there. You can kind of see the hide, which was the Hessian. Mark looks asleep there. I think he's awake.
He's not. He's on point. He's coiled. That's Mark's coiled pose.
So that gives you an idea about the amount of space that we had in this bush. It was very, very compact. Snug, and we were in there for on and off 24 30 hours, something like that,
thereabouts. Yeah, well, it was like basically it was 2 man in the LUP and 2 pushing out to the OP at 2-hour intervals and switching out and this, that and the other. So we had the OP for actually observing, and then the LUP was where all the kit was stashed, and eventually that is where we sort of exfilled from back to the main harbour area. It was just brilliant. It was just so good. It was such a different event, and I mean, I'm talking for someone who a grand total, the amount of BBs I fired for the weekend was 0, and I had an amazing time. So there you go. That's if that don't prove that you can have a fantastic airsoft weekend without actually shooting any BBs, which is the primary objective of airsoft, then I think Defiant have got something pretty much nailed on the head. Being it's their first event of doing something like this. Yeah, granted, a couple of little tweaks, maybe very, very minor tweaks, I reckon, but on the whole, is exactly what I wanted it to be, and more really, from a kit's perspective, from a fieldcraft perspective, about what I wanted to do myself personally for an event, and actually be into more of the nitty gritty side of things, of like, keeping yourself low profile, keeping quiet, moving in and out of an area without being seen, keeping eyes on the enemy, reporting stuff back, and making sure that what you're reporting back is correct, and that's getting passed down the chain, and maintaining the comms and stuff like that. And obviously, comms gremlin did jump up at one point, but that was sort of squared away quite quickly. Yeah, it was brilliant. It was a great run out for the kit, and obviously it was cold as well, and taking minimal stuff and keeping everything compact, because we had to, whatever we had with us, we had to carry with us and bug out with it and be able to pack it away quickly. I mean, we rocked out of that LUP when we had to exfil. I think we were out of there within 5 minutes, the 4 of us. Bergens packed on our backs and going, and literally just bounding back across the open ground into the tree line. But But yeah, I mean, I'm jumping forward of the event. So yeah, obviously, yeah. So it's a Friday night. Established the LUP. And then maintained a vigil through the night. Heard a bit of whispery and a couple of vehicles going past and stuff like that. We did want to put an LUP in a bit closer, but unfortunately we weren't sure whether a couple of the buildings that were probably about from the LUP that we established, they were probably I'd sort of say 60 meters to the front face of the building from where our actual LUP is that we put in, and we weren't sure if they were occupied or not. But after the event, we found out that they weren't. But obviously, there was people that walked past every now and again, like late into the evening, and it was like we can't dig in here because they're literally going to hear us straight away. You know, I mean, if we'd put it in at the hedgerow, oh, there we go. So that was our OP position, and our LUP is off just to the right hand side of that Google Maps image.
Yeah.
But this was all cool little bits that we sort of done between us.
We were in that bush there, weren't we?
That's right, yeah. So, you know, once we got into the OP, I thought, right, I'm going to rotate my compass on my phone, get an image of our field of view, blast that over to our team leader. He can forward that onto Zero. They've got a location lockstat then of where our OP point is, and actually then I also did another one of where our LUP was, which was literally where Mike's cursor is now. So you've probably got about 60-75 meters between the 2 points. Yeah, obviously it's scaled back because this is airsoft, isn't it? So the distances are a lot. And I thought that was quite cool because we were within 30 meters of not so much the enemy, but obviously targets. We could hear conversations quite clearly. You know, people walking past. It was cool. It's cool. Well, the first time in there, and then you get someone walking down there, and you're like, "Fuck hell!" They literally just breeze past you. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, there's my tyre camouflage. More to sort of hide the brightness of the face and things like that, and sort of break up the shape and stuff rather than anything else. But yeah, it's obviously worked well.
And these are just one of the photos that we were able to take of the. Sorry, my throat's going. Let's carry on.
That's all right.
These are a few images that we sort of captured. Just seen a question from Rager. How much of the police station could you see? So we could see the front leading edge, Rage, and if you're looking with your back to the main field, looking back at the police station, where the water tankers were to the left-hand side of it. So there we go. So we could see just to the left of those barrels that are in the image, all the way down one side. So we could see obviously half of the outer walls, and then obviously any comings and goings into the main entrance. We could see that as well. So obviously we couldn't see the back
quite a bit then.
But so we had it pretty much covered. I mean, unless someone walked up the boundary line and came in the back of the building, then we wouldn't have seen them infill, exfil. But a majority of the comings and goings were literally out the front door, which is on the other side of that building, and then turning left down to this main road, which you can see in the image there. So no, it was cool. Yeah, no, that was it was brilliant. It was brilliant. You know, I don't know what else to say about this event. I know other people might have different opinions on it, but from what I wanted and for what I built up in my head, and I've done it before, like I know 500. I built this event up in my head, and I've got there, and this is shit, so shit. Really disappointed, but not with this one. No, this event was much different. This event was exactly what I wanted in my head and more. Now, what that says about James and Kev, I don't know, but they've got the same stuff in their head as I've got in mine, which is worrying and brilliant. So yeah, no, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Like I said, for me, it was all about the kit, all about like field craft and skills and drills, if you like that sort of side of things, and just keeping sort of sneaky.
I got to admit, when I turned up, everyone was still buzzing. Like everyone was tired, but they were still buzzing. There was hardly any grumbles or anything at all, like you normally get at the end of quite a hard weekend.
Yeah.
You normally get a few grumbles, but when I turned up, everyone was still proper buzzing.
I mean, it was hard. Don't get me wrong. It was. I wouldn't say it was like.
It was cold.
It was cold. It was testing, sort of both mentally and sort of semi-physically. I didn't feel physically drained because obviously we were quite relatively static. You know, we weren't burning calories or energy because we were cutting about or doing patrols through buildings or taking buildings and bounding and this, that, and the other. We weren't doing all that sort of stuff. It was a different level of sort of fatigue. Do you know what I mean? You're maintaining concentration. You're remaining quiet to listen in and making sure your comms are on point and reporting stuff back. And then obviously Mike did quite a bit of the of noting down all the information and stuff and making sure that's correct. And then obviously I chipped in and I done my sort of my allotted time slot, recording the intel and then feeding it back into Zero. So yeah, it was quite full on in that respect, which was good. And it was, like I said, it was just something completely different. Was it hard routine?
Defiant says, good. Was it a hard routine? And I would say it was.
Do I tell the story of them? Do I tell the story of the wee wee?
You can tell the story of the wee wee.
Of the wee wee.
I think the wee wee story makes it a hard routine event.
Right. So it's brilliant. You'll love this. Everyone's gonna love this. So it's the Friday. It's not. It's early hours. You were asleep. It doesn't matter. No, you three were asleep. This doesn't affect you mentally at all. Me, it does.
It does now.
No, it does now. Now he knows. Now
so
he knows.
early hours of Saturday morning, like it's like 2-3 o'clock in the morning. I'm in the LUP. I'm Mr. Night Owl because of night shifts and that, so I'm wide awake. These three have like KO'd on the floor with the odd snort and grunt. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to maintain eyes on, listening in, not in the OP, back in the LUP, just keep my wits about me, sort of thing. No problem. I feel right as rain, good as gold. And it got to like 3 o'clock, and I was like, oh fuck me, I really need a piss now. Like this is serious. And I'm just sort of like forgetting about it, and I'm sort of like scrunching my knees up to my chest, and I'm sitting in there listening, and I'm like, no, that's no good. Then I'm stretching my legs out. I'm like, oh no, it's getting worse. It's like, fuck, I've got to go for a piss. Can't help it. So I stood up in the LUP. There was a little hole of like where the brambles had like, come apart. So I managed to put my head through the bush. So you imagine I've just brambles in my head there like that, just staring at the police station. I've got the Hessian barrier to my front, which is just above waist height. And I'm thinking, right, how am I going to do this? I've got Alex asleep to my right, literally at my feet. He's asleep. I've got Mike on my left, so I can't move at all. So I thought, right, the only thing I can do, and I'm going through this process in my mind, in the dark, surrounded by geezers, in a bush. I thought, right, I'm going to push the Hessian down a little bit. I'm going to open the trousers, and out pops John Thomas.
Ooh.
Exactly.
You've been waiting for that. I could see his eyes.
Right, so that's right. So that's the first step. That's quite easy to do that. But now I have to get the urine a safe distance away from everybody, including me and the Hessian. Flashback. So what I did, and this is genius. I built up my own little pressure cannon. So what I did. Don't laugh, because this is on the spot genius. I squeezed the end of it, right? I squeezed the end of it tight, and I let it start. And you know, like a pufferfish. Don't make me do that. No, stop it. Oh, this is serious, man. This is
sorry,
man. All right. Squeezed the end of it, and it swelled up like a pufferfish. And then I just released a bit, and it fired, and it went away, like way away. Like before it hit the ground, it had cleared us by about 5-6 foot. Easy. I thought, if I maintain this, no one's ever going to know. So I literally had to stand there and go, old man wee, for like a minute and a half, going, build up pressure, build up pressure. I mean, obviously, the last everyone has a little dribble at the end. You just have to shake that off. There's nothing to do about that. I just dabbed it on Mike's DOS bag. But yeah, that's hard routine. That's what I reckon. What do you reckon, Mike?
I really hate that I now
Listen,
know that
if you was in the same situation as I was been,
rated, aren't we?
Would you have done that?
Rated, aren't we?
I
think that's genius myself, and I'm proud of myself for that. And the only reason I did that was because I was thinking of you three. If I didn't like you, I'd have just lashed where I was and not even took a blind bit of notice. Yeah. But no, I care for you and I respect you as operators.
The thing was, so the bush that we were in was very, very thorny. And you know, there were certain bits of kit that I was actually a bit hesitant to get out because I didn't want to just fuck up the stuff. Because if it had rained that evening, that would have made it a shit time, like proper shit time. Because like you look at some of the other LUPs and stuff that was set up, everyone's got like full basher setups and stuff like that. You know, if you just stuck a basher up in that LUP. It would have just been ripped to shreds like that. You might as well have just binned that basher.
We couldn't have done it.
Like, so to be fair, if it had rained, it would have been a lot more of a shit time. But
and was the big thing though was Mike was our LUP found?
No, our LUP was not found.
Was our OP found?
It was soft compromised.
No, that wasn't. We were softly compromised.
No, our OP was
in
soft
transit.
compromised. And that's
in
now
transit.
my new favourite. It's my new favourite phrase is a soft compromise. But no, our LUP was not found. But there were certain bits of kit I was quite afraid of getting out, and my sleeping bag, in all honesty, was one of them because it's very silk. The outer of the sleeping bags are quite silky. I didn't want to snag that on the bush and fuck my sleeping bag up.
No.
Which in hindsight was probably a better idea than ended up cuddling Mark.
Oh yeah, you both look really uncomfortable without falling into that situation. I must admit, yeah, really uncomfortable.
So I got my jungle blanket out and basically slept in my jungle blanket and just sort of cuddled up against Mark for that evening. It was lovely. It was lovely and warm.
Little giggles and that, and oh, Mark, what are you doing? I was just sitting there going.
Daniel Brewer's asked what the FPS limit was, Lance.
Do you know what? There's a science. There's science there. I reckon. I reckon we should do that. We'll have to pixelate. Only a tiny little bit of pixelate. Probably one little square, one little Minecraft cube there, just to hide the business up. But.
Minecraft cube.
We'd have to buy our own a special chrono.
Yeah. Who's gonna
how would you test that? What would that be? PSI? Would that be FPS? Because you're building up a pressure, aren't you? I don't know. Yeah.
Well, it could be both. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the feet per second that is leaving the.
I measure it in
end.
joules anyway, so.
Yeah, we could do it in joules. Don't want any of that joule creep happening.
No, there's enough creeping about in that bush as there is that no joule creep as well.
Right,
Rage says, so you had a W while stood over 3 blokes in a bush. No, I didn't, Rage. That was Saturday night. Talking about Saturday morning at the moment.
We had to find ways to keep warm and busy. Leave us alone.
Exactly, yeah. I was trying to keep my mind occupied, all right?
You weren't there, Rage.
You don't know, man.
We don't know in that bush.
Not being funny, we knew exactly where Rage was because he was standing by the burn bin that they had going.
Why do you think I had to stand up in the bush? Just watching our Rage. With my hand warmers.
I'm not reading your comment out, Ed. That's too gross. Sorry.
What was that
Is
one?
Ed being disgusting? Do we need to put him in sin bin?
It's the one he says it's like when your mouth is full of liquid. I'm not going to carry on with that one.
And you slap your cheeks and warm liquid squirts out all over the bed.
Yeah. Defiant Events. Honestly, the OP log
that.
that came in from
Snipers,
Section
mate.
3 was impressive.
Snipers.
I'll be getting it put into a special presentation folder.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, can I get a copy of that folder, please?
Was it hard for Mike to write his notes? Did he manage to actually keep up with the intel coming back over the radio? So I mean, it was quite tricky to obviously work with.
Well, it was all right until you lost your purple crayon, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I had to get the green one out.
Yeah.
It was half chewed. No,
my favourite flavour.
The writing of notes and stuff like that was quite. I've never had to kind of do that before. Like I've written notes in meetings and stuff like that, but the level of information that's coming over the radio is not necessarily stuff that I'm used to writing down. So I ended up coming up with like a bit of shorthand, which I think worked quite well for certain things. So it's kind of just getting into the rhythm of that. But no, I think it worked quite well. I mean, I must profess, I know that I probably spent more time in the LUP with Lance having spent more time in the OP. We weren't really swapping out quite as much, and I know that Lance is probably frustrated with that.
No, I didn't say. I was more than happy. It worked well.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I didn't really mind where I was. The OP was probably more exposed, but it was so cold wherever you were, it didn't really make much difference.
It was. Do you know what? It was just my big toes. My 2 big toes were just ice blocks, man. Rest of my feet were fine. Just my 2 big toes. Bit worrying, really. But yeah, as soon as you're up and moving about a bit, because we were static so long, it's just like you know, you're trying to make fists with your toes inside your boots, and it's just like, oh, you know, I had like 3 pairs of socks on. Maybe that was too many. I should have had a little bit more movement available because I did feel my feet did feel quite compacted. So I'm wondering whether I had enough sort of void there to maintain a level of heat in the boot. But I don't know. But that was the only my only sort of uncomfortable moment was obviously in the OP, just trying to keep my big toes warm, man. Jesus Christ. Yeah.
Your big toes
I think
that
top
suffer
tip
the
as
most
well.
then.
My big toes. Everything else was alright.
top tip I would take away from the event as well is if you're going to be going into a static position for a long time, like the LUP, where you don't necessarily want to be running a jet boil to heat water and stuff, then thermoses, the thermoses that we had were, invaluable in terms of being able to take hot water in.
Yes.
So, that was useful. And the foot warmers as well, the little sachet heat packs and stuff.
Yeah, well, I've got
anything
this
that you
one
can
here.
use to heat up that doesn't make noise was obviously quite an advantage on that front.
If you've not seen one of these before, girls and boys, this is a Highlander pocket warmer. What you do is you'll get a packet of these, which I did show earlier really quickly, and this was a godsend. Everyone's gone.
No, we're still
bigger.
here. We're making you bigger. Everyone's gone.
What's big in
I'm on
Lance
my own
up?
again. I feel like I'm back in the OP. Not on my own. And then you get like a little charcoal stick in this little foil wrapper here, and you pop that, and you can light it at one end and leave it to burn. I think you've got to light it and then get it so it's about a 10 centimetre burn, so you get an orange ember about 10 centimetres, 1 centimetre, sorry, 10 mil down from one end of the stick, or you can light both ends, but it won't last as long. And then literally once you've got that 10 mil of glow, close it up, and it's just, it's beautiful. I highly recommend getting yourself. I think my old man got me 2 of these for when I was doing the old fishing through the winter. Literally just do 2 in your jacket pockets or in your trouser pockets. Obviously don't open it once it's alight because it will just fall out and burn everything around you. But yeah, that gets lovely and warm. Almost like, that's hot. But that's, for that LUP, that was a lifesaver. Absolute lifesaver. I remember Mark was laying on his side once trying to get his head down, and I literally went, is this warm? And he was laying on his side, and I went like that, and he was like, literally feel like someone's weighing on me.
Yeah, which he was
say
by
that,
the sound of things.
Yeah. I was like, shh, go back to sleep, it's a hand warmer. No, he didn't say I was joking. But yeah, no, he's like, mate, that's magic, one of them. But obviously these are just as good. Just as much heat. They're awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, highly recommend them. Especially toe warmers as well. Get the stick-on ones for your toes. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Dan said, I think we had to step back from the fire a couple of times because it was so hot.
See that, Dan?
James C,
Fair
why
play.
didn't you lot pack some piss bottles? So I had a water bottle that I had sort of taken with that in mind, but I just didn't need to take a piss.
And I like a challenge, James.
I drank a lot.
No, I like a challenge.
I didn't drink enough water that weekend. That would be, and not because I didn't have enough water. I had 2 litres on me, and we had the opportunity to refill, but just didn't drink. Just wasn't thirsty. Didn't need to drink until I did need to drink, and then I drank an awful lot of water in very quick succession. But I probably went through like the first I don't know, 24 hours with just a litre.
That was probably the cold, making you not feel.
I mean, I was up because I had 2 litres in my belt kit, and I had another 2 litres in my Bergen, and I had to replenish 3 bottles the next day when me and Alex spotted that sniper across the field from behind our LUP. Don't know what happened to him in the end, and then there was that huge explosion, and then we bugged out back to the main harbour area, and then we replenished 3 litres there. And then when we came back up, and obviously then that evening we bugged out back to the harbour area, and we had water on site there anyhow, so it was a bit of a touch really. But yeah, it was good. Could we see the fire from the OP? Yes, we could. Yeah, we could hear it from the LUP. We could just hear it crackling away, and I was just like, "You fucking bastards!"
Didn't you say you could smell it when they first lit it?
Well, if we lit it, and I heard this, and I was like, "Mike, they've lit a fire over there," and he was like, "You are kidding me." I was just literally tempted to just walk out the bush and go, "Yep, you got me. Can I be a prisoner there?"
I think someone over the radio
please,
just heard over the radio. I bet that's warm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that looks lovely and warm, doesn't it? But we survived, man. We did it.
We did, and I'll be honest with you. I feel a sense of achievement having done that event because it was something
I do as well,
definitely hadn't done
genuinely.
before. I know it pushed me to do things that I hadn't done before, and I highly recommend doing it. I mean, I learned a lot in terms of kit prep and stuff like that. There's a few things that I've now sort of tweaked on my kit, and things that we'll talk about cold weather gear going forward. But yeah,
it was a great test. It was a great test of kit. I mean, the Friday night, for example,
weekend as well.
it was cold. It was cold, mate.
It plummeted.
Do you know what? I'm glad we weren't there on the Sunday because that got bastard cold Sunday when we were leaving site. I felt cold then, like proper. Whether it had just been building up over the course of the 2 days, the Friday night into the all day Saturday sort of thing. But yeah, I felt very cold Sunday as we were sort of like getting to the motors and that. I did feel the cold then, but I mean, for me on the Friday night, Saturday morning, early hours, I had one cock up. I didn't put a long sleeve t-shirt on. I had a short sleeve t-shirt. I had a Norgie. I had my softy jacket and my smock, and literally a pair of long johns, normal pair of fatigues over the top. I had 3 pairs of socks and my Altberg Defender boots. And I didn't even have my DOS bag out on the Friday night. All I got was my foil mat worked.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. My homemade Mylar turbo mat works a treat. Absolutely toasty. So that was brilliant. Literally, yeah. So the Friday night, Saturday morning, I didn't even have my DOS bag out. I literally just laid back on my mat. Because one, I wasn't that tired, obviously, and two, I just didn't feel that cold at all on the Friday night, Saturday morning. Whether that's because we had the wind chill away from us because we was in the hide. Got the 4 bodies in there as well. We had the Bergens a bit around us, sort of arranged, so we did have that little sort of cave type effect going on. So perhaps that helped a little bit. But yeah, no, I was more than comfortable on the Friday, Saturday night. But yeah, and then obviously by the time we bugged out Saturday night, we went back to the main harbour area and we could get a basher up and actually get the roll mat and the DOS bag out. And that's another thing I did. I put the zip on my bivvy bag because I don't care. It's a fucking ball ache, and I kept my boots on all weekend. Purely because of the chance of us getting bumped. So I was trying to get in that bivvy bag, in my sleeping bag, with my boots on. I was just like, this ain't happening. This is not happening. I think I took them. Did I take them off in the end? I can't remember. Don't think I did. I just managed to sort of squeeze myself into something. But as soon as I got back, the first job that was done after unpacking was getting that zip done on that bivvy bag. And it's been a bloody godsend ever since.
I've got to admit, I quite like Mike's Russian bivvy bag. That looked really good. I got to admit that.
I didn't get to see that a little bit. Yeah, because you brought that to the private site, didn't you? But I didn't get to see it.
No, I didn't use it. I did take it, but I didn't set it up there.
I saw the
that
US
was the first
one.
time I'd used it was that event that night. It was proper comfy. Like I have to admit, I was a little bit worried that it was going to be a bit coffin-esque, and I think in part it probably was a bit tight just because I hadn't slept in it before. It was a little bit of an unknown, but once I got the hang of it, it was proper comfy. It was warm. It was just lovely.
Yeah, bought one. I bought one now.
Have you got one?
Yeah, I found one on eBay.
Yeah, no, I mean, like what Mike said, I mean, that event, the Mac, learned a lot about kit, things that I want to change, things that I do differently. Not so much the loadout or the setup. I mean, I've only got them JJ's bits and bobs on my rig now purely because I were offered them at a bargain price. Otherwise, I wouldn't have got them basically because the ones I had on there were perfectly serviceable. There was nothing wrong with them, but it's just the fact that they were JJ's. It's like, do you want them for this? I was like, absolutely, please, yes, thank you. Yes, some money, like some money. I've got some fake money somewhere. Where's it gone?
I think it was the survivability of it, wasn't it?
Yes.
Oh, nice.
It was, mate. And I was, like I said, I was proper chuffed. There's another little purchase I got was morphine Surette cases. Really good for holding little things like the spare charcoal sticks for my hand warmers and roll-ups as well.
Oh yeah, you said about that. Yeah, that was the
Get
first
about
thing
12 in there, boy, pre-rolled. Get up.
I turned up and he went, look what I've bought. This, and I was like, it's a rubber condom. And he was like, no, look. And then he opened them up and he had his little roll-ups in there. It was like,
roll-up
look how many
storage
I've
area.
got.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool. Yeah, highly recommend one of those.
It's catheter.
Yeah, it's catheter.
How much was the Bivvy mod all in, Lance? The Bivvy mod all in, mate, was a grand total of the zip, which was, I think, about £9 off eBay. A Tetran double zip, so you can open it either end. It's got 2 zip. You can open it from the inside and the outside. And my mate's missus is a seamstress who's absolute bob on, and she done it for nothing for me. So it'd be the cost of the zip, which is about a tenner, or if less. I think it could be less. I'll look it up. I'll put a link in the NoFo page on Facebook to the one I got. I've only tried it a couple of 3 times. I don't know if it feels super strong. I mean, it's pucker. But obviously, I don't know over time how many times you undo and close a zip. whether it becomes weaker or not. But the only thing with the British Army bivvy bag is there's no seam. So what you'd have to do is, what I did with mine is I laid it completely flat to where the top edges are, and then I just sort of imagined a line running down. It's hard to explain. How can I explain this? Right, okay. So if you're in your sleeping bag, what I imagined it being was that the zip wouldn't be sort of like the lower part of that left-hand wall, if you like, because obviously my DOS bag, my sleeping bag's got a left-hand zip, so I wanted the bivvy bag to have a left-hand zip as well. Mm-hmm. But I didn't want the zip to be right at the base of the bivvy bag, so when I went to zip it up, I'll be laying on it sort of thing. So I sort of imagined, right, if I was laying in it, my body's going to take up sort of yay much sort of material at the sides. So I'm going to put the zip so it's more on the side. So if I'm laying in it, the zip's not laying in the dirt or anything. It's actually going to be on the side of the bag more, if that makes sense. So I imagine that line from where it's laid flat all the way down to, and I didn't do it all the way to the end. I left about that much, probably about 1.5 foot, 2 foot of bivvy bag without a zip, just so I can stick my feet in there and not have to worry about it. So it's like a 3/4 zip. I think it was 1.2 metre zip I got, something like that. But yeah, I mean, if you can find someone who's got a sewing machine, mate, I mean, it's not hard to stitch Gore-Tex. You'd have to hem it definitely so it didn't fray. So I'd obviously just cut it, fold it back on itself. What I did with mine is I folded it back on itself, then used sniper tape on the inside to hold the hem, and then it was double stitched as well. I also hand stitched it as well, which took hours. So just don't bother hand stitching it unless you've got the time, because that took ages to do that. I was very impressed with myself for doing a nice little running stitch all the way down both sides. But yeah, nearly 3 meters of hand stitching is a ball ache.
Yeah, that's
so. Yeah, like get someone with a machine.
I wouldn't particularly want to do.
Yeah, I mean, you could even run that into a tailored shop, and they'll I'm sure they'll be able to process that through a machine for you. And I mean, my mate's missus did what I took, which took me like 4 hours in about 12 minutes. I just stood there watching her with the machine going. I was like, this is heartbreaking that it took me so long to do what you're doing right now. But yeah, it's not an expensive mod to do at all, mate. There is actually some other bits I do want to do on it going forward, because I have got an old. I'm going to add a rain baffle to the zip, which I'm going to make out of a pair of DPM Gore-Tex trousers I never use, which is essentially going to cut the leg and have it hemmed and stitched above the zip. So I've got like a little Velcro flap bit. And I'm not going to Velcro the whole thing, just going to Velcro the corner nearest me, just to hold that flap down, just as a bit of added protection from the rain. Because obviously I have compromised the water tightness of the bag now by putting a zip in it, but I don't intend to be laying in a swamp or a lake in it, so I don't need it to be 100% submersible bivvy bag type thing, which is obviously that they're intended to be fully watertight. So yeah, I've compromised it by doing it, but the compromise far outweighs the
advantage of being able to get in it.
yeah, being able to get in it easily and just be like, oh, simple, rather than having to shim. And then the other thing as well is trying to get inside one when you're in a low profile basher. If you set your basher up about 1.5 2 foot off the ground, and you got to sninkle down into your DOS bag and your bivvy, it's just a nightmare. It's an absolute nightmare. I mean, the only other thing you can do is try and buy a US Army one. The US Army ones come with a zip. They're more expensive. They're a bit heavier, but they already come with a zip already installed, and they're the woodland camo, US woodland camo ones. They're good, but they're expensive.
You know what you could do? You know how a roll bag rolls up and then clips together? You could do that to the bottom end of the bivvy bag. So you can just crawl into it and roll up the bottom and then just clip that up like a stuff sack.
What, in it? Would you die of asphyxiation?
No. So you cut the bottom end off, so you've still got the open end at the top. So you created a tube, yeah?
Tube, yes.
So then you can crawl into your tube.
Yes.
And then you could just roll up the bottom and connect that up, and that'll make that waterproof at the bottom.
Oh, I see.
I get you.
Yes,
like a sausage roll.
Yeah, but that's. I reckon I can still see that being a ball ache in a sort of confined space.
Yeah, you're probably easier doing the zip up to your side rather than like your legs up to your
especially if you had to get in there.
Roll that up.
You're only allowed to crawl in there with your hands by your side, so you've essentially got.
Yeah, and then you got to get out the other end. But
it would be hilarious being birthed.
I have a lot of ideas. They're not necessarily good ideas.
Birthed by a bivvy bag.
You get squeezed out like toothpaste.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm excited to try that again. That out in the field. I'm gonna do a little overnighter soon. I might do one for the. I think it might be a bit too late for the Tommy sleep out now. I'm not sure. I don't know. Are we too late?
My head just went psychic. I was thinking about sausage rolls too.
The bivvy's the pastry, and I'm the meat.
Yeah.
I've got a picture of the Ratnik one that Andy and I were talking about.
This, I love this.
Yes,
It's so good. I can't wait for it to turn up.
It's a proper nice little bit. We'll do a couple reviews on it. Once Andy gets his, we'll go out in the woods or whatever, and we'll have a little play around with them.
We'll have a
And
woods
the bivvies
meetings.
as well. And then once we've had a play, we'll get the bivvy bags out and we'll set them up.
And then we'll all get into
But
Lance's bivvy bag one at a time.
We'll all try that out, see how many we can fit in there. Sideways on. I'm the filling in the man sandwich. Bugsy that.
Yeah.
I'll
No,
be
I'm
the
looking forward
pastry.
to it.
I can't be blamed for breaking the zip then.
The zip, yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Three
There's a
men,
couple
one
of comments
zip.
that came in. James C said, if your feet were cold, then your boots could have been too tight, Lance. Having the air gap can help keep the heat in.
Do you know, that's what I said. I think it was because I had 3 pairs of socks on, myself, which I know sounds really detriment to the fact that you're trying to insulate your feet. But I genuinely, when you put a pair of socks on and it's that uncomfortable tightness around your toes and that.
Yeah.
I just didn't have that movement, and I think that's what sort of compromised the insulation a bit. I think I
Because
should
you
have
can't
gone
move
with
your toes, can you?
one less
You can't
pair.
move your
Yeah,
toes within the boot.
that's it. And there wasn't an air gap. There wasn't anything to warm. Basically, it was just like toes, sock, boot, and that was it. There was no void there or anything. So
Yeah.
I think that's where I come unstuck, because I don't normally wear 3 pairs of socks. It's usually just 2, like a sports pair and then like the thicker pair over the top.
Yeah, that's what I do.
So I think shame on me for that one. But like I said, the rest of my feet it was just my big toes, man. For fuck's sake, they were like almost to the point of like, can someone take this knife out of my toe, please? And it wasn't gout before anyone says anything, because I know what that feels like, and this was a manageable
Remind
pain.
me before the end of the show about gout, because I've got a story I want to share, which is amusing. It's happened during the week. It's not really related, but I'll tell it before we end the show.
Okay.
John Smith says, Lance the pressure washer. So that's
Again, yes.
The Thatcher pressure
Kevin
washer.
Berry says Bernoulli's equation, and then Daniel Brewer and Kenny Rebel have come up with some ideas for your what you would measure that in. So there's PIS SI.
Very good. Very good.
Kenny said FPS.
FPS. Yes. Very nice.
No, both of them are very good.
Well, if YouTube
Dan-
are not happy about me having my feet bare on their platform, I can't see them allowing me to do an FPS test on my urine.
Do you know what? It's YouTube. They probably
You might just have to take our word for it that we've did
That'll
the
be the
test.
OnlyFans content.
Yeah.
Oh, could you imagine? Terrible. Oh dear.
We had to put it on this platform because YouTube wouldn't allow it. So this is our new OnlyFans content.
This is for science only. There's no perviness in here. Now
Don't
let's
make
get back
it
to
weird.
this. Now let's get back to this piss test.
Yeah, Dan says 3 men in a bush, one of them spraying pee everywhere, and 2 cuddled up in a silky sleeping bag. Pretty much sums it up.
There was a 4th there holding a chronograph, but it wouldn't work because I soaked it.
So you couldn't aim.
There was no IP rated chronograph available. IP. Ha 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 ha. Drum roll, please, Mike. Come on.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, he's no.
Tell we've had 3 weeks off, can't you?
Yeah.
Rach says, you see, Trangia doesn't make a noise. If used correctly, it gives off very little light, especially if you use meds.
I forgot about that. Oh.
Especially if you use meds. So,
But Rage has made a valid point there, and you've ruined it by the scream.
No, so I think one of the things we were concerned about during this event was Op4 had the use of night vision and thermal capabilities. There are also drones flying overhead as well. So we were constantly conscious of light signature, heat signature, as well as obviously trying to camouflage ourselves.
Which is more reason why I did
anyway.
piss puffs instead of a long, steady stream.
Yeah.
Piss puffs.
Well,
It sounds like you're smoking it.
I don't know how else you describe it. Piss, what's a short burst of
It'd be like a
Spurt.
piss
spurt?
yeah,
Piss spurt. No,
Oh, piss mortar.
piss mortar. I thought it'd be able to disguise it as some sort of like a release from a local vegetation or something. You know, like one of those killer plants in Jumanji that just fires something at you. Blind, like that dinosaur that fucking shoots shit at your face. One of them.
Yeah, because that
And they wouldn't bat an eyelid.
Don't worry about the random water feature going on over there that's thermal. It's probably some dinosaur spitting something out.
Yeah, spitting something out, didn't agree with him. Poor old dinosaurs. Go and check, see if he's alright.
Oh dear.
So are you basically saying that your penis is now called a Diphyllosaurus?
Is that
that's what they're called.
Dilophosaurus?
Dilophosaurus.
Dilophosaurus.
Is that what your penis is now called?
Yes, it is from now on called Dilophosaurus.
Dilophosaurus.
And it was softly compromised. I don't know if you can compromise yourself, can you?
Hands down.
Does
it
count as hang on?
James
Question.
During the tasking.
Does it count as a compromise if you do it to yourself, or does someone else have to compromise you for it to class as being
I
compromised?
thought a soft compromise was where you're kind of like, all right, fine, I'll try and go again. But
See, I pictured when I first heard soft compromise, I sort of pictured like an enemy soldier walking past you going, all right, son. Didn't see a thing, and just trots off. Mum's the word.
So, I mean, this was genuinely the first time I'd heard the phrase soft and hard compromise. And we're in the middle of a tasking briefing by James. And bless him, he's standing there. He's got this up. And he's doing his proper, role. He's talking.
He had his briefing hat on.
He was doing all sort of proper briefing stuff. And he goes, right, you need to make sure you're not soft compromise. And I just lost it at that point. Because that's genuinely my new favourite Milsim phrase.
I've been softly compromised.
Oh my God, I've been softly compromised.
But he promised me he wouldn't tell them where we are, so don't worry. Mum's a word.
Rage says, where did you keep the power supply for Mike's electric blanket?
Oh yeah, did you hear that bit?
Oh, I did. I brought a sissy seat that Mike's got. I buckled. I was supposed to save it to show James. You know the little sissy mat he's got for his knee for when he has to kneel down.
Can we stop calling it that?
Yeah, his sissy mat.
Well, I can actually call it his real name, which is a camp mat.
He's no better.
I unfolded it and I was like, I'm not calling it I'm just going to go and sit on the camp mat.
Camp pad.
Camp pad then. Pad's even worse. It means it's like absorbing stuff. Just going to go and sit down on a big camp pad while I have a lady wee in the woods. Excuse me.
Lady wee in the woods.
I thought it was a camp mat. I'm going to have to look that up now.
Give me 2 seconds. I need to sit on my camp pad while I have a soft compromise.
Yeah. I've just been softly compromised and need to sit down. Yeah. Need to sit down on a camp mat. I've just been softly compromised, lads. Oh! There it is. Panic over. It was just a fart. Oh, God. Yeah. I've got 3 weeks of this built up. That it's all coming out.
It is a bit. We probably shouldn't have done a serious one, should we?
I think we've maintained an element of seriousness.
We've got through an hour before we've started getting the fart raffle.
Oh no, don't be silly. This started well before an hour.
Yeah.
Took me 15 minutes to get on the fucking podcast.
I don't know if I've upset James in some way, because he said, fuck's sake, Mike is creating more problems in the process as trying to resolve a mild inconvenience.
Yeah, I think that was your nonsense of the bivvy bag. Yeah. Well, you do make a rod for your own back, and you should be brought
the NoFo straight jacket sleep system.
The NoFo straight jacket.
Yeah.
That's
Comes
definitely
in 2
useful
different
if
colours.
you want to. Yeah.
We could call it almost like a Dutch oven
orange.
type thing.
The Dutch oven.
Isn't that
The Dutch Army oven.
You'll be head first in one end. I'll be shimmying in from the other. Oh, Mike, you've just softly compromised me.
No, that's a hard compromise.
Well, no, it wasn't. It is now. I'll have to put the camp pad in between as like a barrier, a buffer zone. So if you hit the pad, you've gone too far. Oh dear.
Rage says, I couldn't get on with a bivvy tent. It's like being in a coffin. And
I've never been in the coffin, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
There is an element to that though in the bivvy tent. I do recommend that if anyone's going to go out and try one, before you buy one, if you can, because
spend the night in a coffin. See how you get on first.
I'm talking about the coffin. I'm talking about the bivvy tent, like the little hoop bivvies and stuff like that, because they can be quite claustrophobic. The reason that I knew that I would be fine with the hooped one that I bought was because the original one that I had from Miltech, it wasn't hooped, and you would seal yourself in completely, and I found that horrifically more claustrophobic.
The ones that just sit on your face.
Oh yeah, that was
horrid. Yeah, I don't.
Because literally you wake up in the night and you're just like smothered by your own bag, like
and you've been breathing against it.
No, stop. Stop. We're not talking about sitting on faces and smothered by your own bag. It's awful. Stop it. Stop it.
No, but it's hard. But the other thing is if you open it slightly, because I do you guys suffer with like cold air on your face when you're sleeping?
No, because I've got a beard.
Only when I'm getting breathed on by an attacker or something.
This is a serious conversation.
Yeah,
I
don't like my face being covered up when I sleep.
No, but when it's like proper cold out, so say you're talking 0, -2 sort of level of temperatures, I find that if I have my face sort of too exposed, then it makes me snore a lot louder. But so I wake up in the morning feeling like
I fucking bet it don't. I don't think that's possible, is it?
I've got a story about snoring as well.
Oh dear.
But I find that I almost wake up in the morning feeling like I've got a really bad cold because my face is sort of like solidified in the night, trying to insulate and sort of protect me from the cold air. So I find that if I've got at least a bit of fresh air going on, but like when you're in a tent, for example, you're not completely exposed to the outside weather. So that was the reason I wanted a sort of a bivvy bag that you could kind of hoop yourself in a little bit, because having that ability to kind of create that kind of volume around your head with a bit of air, so it's free flowing. You've still got a direct link to the outside in terms of airflow and the like, but it's just slightly warmer. It just sort of takes the edge off of it, really.
Yeah, to stop that draft, really, innit? I mean, that's what I was thinking with my bivvy bag, because the British Army ones are so oversized, like the head end of it, it's really wide. I was thinking about having a couple of eyelets put at the foot end for pegging out, and then having a couple of like webbing straps put at the top end that I could use. I'd then have an eyelet in each one for a basher pole to go in on either side, and then obviously I can guy that out as well at the base, so that's like the overhang. Because even if I lay with like the big bit around my back, which is like oversized, it's enormous. Even the bit you pull up, it's still well over your face. And then add in a little roll down bit of material that the webbing straps are stitched to act as like a bit of a canopy that could just be rolled away and just velcroed up, or tied up with little bits of paracord, just so when you're not using it and you just want it as a normal bag, you can. Or if you want to set it up as like a fixed position type thing where you can lay on your front, you still got your right. Because I was in my bivvy bag with my rifle and my thermal on, maintaining that field of fire down the right hand side of the field, the north end.
Oh, right, yeah.
From the car park as you came down, I had that whole field covered, which was brilliant. I love doing that, because literally I had my little basher set up, put a little bit of camo around it, and then just laid up in my bivvy, rifle out, ready to go, couple of mags to my side just in case. Yeah, happy days, mate. So I thought to myself, I said, if I could just get like a couple of basher poles there, nothing special, just a couple of eyelets at the foot end, a couple at the top end here, just to pull that taut. And then I said, happy days then, you can sort of do away with a basher almost. Because my Bergen was outside anyhow, and all I did was pull my Bergen cover over it, because we did get a little bit of rain on and off. So I always keep the Bergen cover in the top of the Bergen along with my Gore-Tex jacket, just pulled that out, chucked it over the bag, happy days. So, kit-wise, it was going to be nice and dry. Belt kit was on anyhow, so no worries there. But yeah, no, definitely a couple of bits I'm going to do with the BV bag going forward. So,
have you come across the Corinthia?
That's some good kit they do. Oh my god,
BV tent.
Their jackets, man.
Grab a photo of that quickly. So, I mean, this is something similar.
These
to
look
that.
awesome.
So this is sort of
that's
hooped bivvy. But you're talking about 800 quid for that.
Exactly what I was just about to say. Do you know what I mean? £800.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, is that the one with the internal mat as well, isn't it, and everything?
I'm guessing that's all sealed in. Yeah.
Yeah,
so that's quite good. That's like my fishing bivvy. Yeah. I mean, fishing bivvy and normal bivvy is two. A fishing bivvy is like a big tent sort of thing, whereas a bivvy for camping is like a small bivvy bag that goes over your sleeping bag. But my one's like at the door. I can have the door zipped up, or I can zip it half down, so I've got like a viewing bit when I've got the rod set up and stuff like that, which is cool. I do like that, but I don't like it enough for £795 worth.
No.
Yeah, James C says someone's done something similar to what Lance is describing on YouTube already in regards to the bivvy bag.
I wouldn't surprise me if I hadn't, mate. Yeah, I think it's a really simple mod that wouldn't get in the way if you wanted to just use. What I want is I want to be able to use that as a normal bivvy bag that's just a cover for my sleeping bag. Or alternatively, if there is a chance that we might get a little touch of rain, but I don't want to be setting up bashers and shit like that, I can literally just deploy this little extra couple of foot, because it's like I said, it's already oversized at the top end, but it'd just be that extra couple of foot, maybe like a slight, I don't even know what sort of shape that is. What is that shape? Like a triangle with a top point cut off. What is that?
Bit like a teardrop, sort of. I mean, it's not. No.
Anyhow,
Lost it
that's
there.
irrelevant.
Anyway.
It doesn't matter. Couple of foot extra material, just as like a little canopy, just for like a little admin area sort of thing, more than anything. That's all I want to do. So yeah, it literally be the back of a Gore-Tex jacket, essentially like a wooden DPM jacket. Trapezium. I was going to go down the rows of dodecahedron, but I thought no.
Yeah, that's 12, I think.
That's 12. That's many sides.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my thinking anyhow. Just something that's not, and then I can just roll that up, cut a little tie off points just to keep it neat. But we'll see. You know,
Stephen
it took me
Whitehead
2 years to
says
put a
all
zip
that
on it.
extra
So
space. Stephen White said, "Is all that extra space at the top of the Brit Vivi intended for stowing a Bergen?" Then
I don't know, mate.
I don't think it's big enough.
I don't think it's big enough for that,
No.
but it is oversized. You know what I mean, it was an oversized, the back bit of it. You imagine like a mummy sleeping bag, the mummy-shaped sleeping bag. The on the bivvy itself. I've got a picture of it laid out flat. I'll put a picture on our Facebook, and you'll see what I mean. But it's genuinely like if I lay down with it like laid perfectly flat on the floor, I've probably got that much material. I've probably got a good foot either side of my head of like the bivvy itself, which seems like a bit of a waste, really. But yeah, I guess I could flip it upside down and use that oversized bit as the canopy and have a shorter bit to sleep in. But I can see myself coming out of that a little bit. It's not quite enough material.
You don't want to slip out.
No, you don't want to slip out. It's the worst thing.
No, don't want to slip out.
Once I'm in, I'm staying in. Yeah, so there we go. So where that text is on the base plate there, where your head would be on the base of the bivvy, either side of that, that's a big oversized area. And you can obviously, that is drawstring as well, so you can cinch it in nice and tight at the top. I never do because it comes with that epoxy. It's not got anything elasticated in it or paracord. It's that other material. It's like toggle material you get in a hoodie, and it doesn't really do a very good job of cinching up very well. So a lot of people change that. I never even use that. I just leave it wide open. I don't even bother cinching it up. There's no point. But yeah, I was thinking about adding a bit of material where it's sort of gathered at the front edge there as the canopy, and obviously then just at the foot end, just putting a couple of little eyelets on each corner, just to act as an anchor point for pegging it out and just keeping it taut, sort of thing.
Would you get
I
like?
think it's definitely achievable. It's definitely doable. It's a very, very simple thing to do.
Yeah. Would you get like
it'll
a
be 4
lightweight
eyelets.
pole?
I'll just use a couple of basher poles, mate.
Yeah.
So I've already got them.
them.
And just that'd just be an additional thing. It'd just be an element. It literally, essentially, oh, actually, no. I'd have to put an eyelet at the foot end on each side, and I'd have to put an eyelet at the shoulder ends each side to keep the base ground pegged out. So 4 pegs for the base, and then another 2 once the canopy bit's up, just to hold them 2 poles out taut. So it'd be 6 pegs in total, same as a basher. So you'd already have the pegs on you. You'd already have the basher poles on you. So yeah, it's the only additional things you're going to be carrying, which are going to be stitched to the bivvy, is the 6 contact points for the 2 poles and the 4 pegs. All right. So I shall be doing that. I think I will do that. Yes, I think I've got some spare webbing.
Kevin recommends the Snug Pack Ionosphere. It's good, but not enough room for a Bergen inside. So.
That's
not
half
overly,
of it though. If you're running,
I'm not overly fussed about the Bergen. I'll just put cover on it and leave it outside. 9 times out of 10, even if I'm using my basher, I use a Bergen as a windbreak anyhow, and that usually gets hammered by rain because it's at my head end facing out, or I have my pouches facing out, and the back of it where the strapping is that faces out. Just so if I need to get to any of the pockets on the outside of the bag, I can, whilst I'm still under the basher. But it's, like I said, there's a waterproof cover over it, so no dramas. It soon dries out. Running out for the weekend, you're not out there for weeks, are you? So it don't matter.
It depends where you are as well. I mean, if you're in the woods and stuff like that, it's a lot more sheltered than if you're in the middle of Dartmoor. I could see potentially having something to cover your bag would be quite helpful, because obviously you're a lot more exposed at that point. But I mean, if you're not necessarily needing to be in a super camouflaged bivvy bag on the middle of Dartmoor, you could probably get away
No,
with
yeah.
like a Banshee Van Gogh tent or something like that, because something
Well,
they use for wild camping, which you can actually put your stuff in.
The Dutch
Yeah.
Army do a hooped bivvy bag, don't they?
If you can get hold of one,
If
they
you
are
can
like
get hold of
rocking or
one.
shit to get hold
Yeah.
of. I'm seeing. I can't remember who put a comment
I
in the
haven't
chat
seen one
about.
for a while.
If you look from on eBay, they're often known as a special forces SAS bivvy bag or one man tent shelter. For some reason, everyone seems to think they're only the SAS ever use them, and it's just a Dutch Army issue bivvy bag, which is quite cool because it comes with a couple of hoops in it. And they are wicked. There's a guy called,
which is what you're basically making.
I mean, if people wanted more information on bivvy bags, there's a guy called Simon, a bloke in the woods, on YouTube, and he does an episode completely dedicated to bivvy bags and swag bags and stuff like that, all for bushcrafting or like one man like trekking, camping and stuff like that. And he covers a vast arrangement of bivvies that he's got. He's got loads of kit. He does loads of good videos on it. Highly recommend him.
Can't vouch specifically for this website, but on Forces uniform and kit, they apparently have super grade 1 distressed Dutch Army Gore-Tex camo military hooped bivvy bags.
So how much is it? How much is the issued? Like not super grade, like 2 down from super grade.
Out of stock.
Oh, so they're completely out of stock and everything.
Well, distressed is 70 quid, but that's out of stock. I mean, they've apparently got super grade ones.
Okay,
We should
there you go. Then.
honest
See, like I
with
said,
100
or you can get a normal
what is
British
it?
Army issue one for about 35 quid, but it ain't got a hoop in it. So 35, let's say 35 quid. Let's say 40 quid for a bivvy bag, standard one. Tenner for a zip, 50 quid. You're probably looking at 15 quid at a tailor to get a zip put on there. So you're looking at 65 quid for a normal British Army bivvy bag made with a zip on the side. So, up to you.
I think my
Up to you.
Ratnik one was about that.
Was it really? What, 75 quid?
About
Blimey,
that,
that's
something
cheap.
like that. Yeah, I think it might have been
Bloody hell.
85s.
I spent a lot more of that on mine.
Yeah, well, yours has
think
probably
mine was-
come from.
Mine's
Recent
coming from
conflicts.
mine's coming from Ukraine.
Yeah, I bet it is.
Direct. There it is.
Fair play.
Have to wash it when you get it.
Well, as long as it doesn't come filled, I'm all right.
Big old Richard III laying in there for you.
Yeah.
Apparently, UK Special Forces hoop bivvy bag is different to the Dutch one.
Is it? Ooh, what's different about it then?
James C says the rocking horse shit are not in the best condition these days. They look very similar to the Special Forces ones.
Ah. See, what's the difference between the SF one and
I don't know.
the other one?
Les says I got issued one of those and they are shit with no room.
Thanks, Les. Straight to the point. Shit. It was on the balcony.
It was on the balcony.
Of course it was. Of course it was. Why am I so silly? Yes.
Terry hasn't jumped in with his tent recommendations or bivvy bag recommendations.
His was Terry's issue tent was just a white canvas one, wasn't it? And he
That's what I was
had,
going to say.
lines of hundreds of them with like a cauldron at the front. He used to ball like a rabbit body in or something. whilst he was casting some ball bearings to put in his musket.
Right.
The
What will
UK
we do
one
next
has
week?
no zip, the front flaps down, and you crawl out. Oh, the UK one sounds shitter than the Dutch one. Then that just sounds like more of a ball ache than getting in a normal bivvy bag. The front flaps down.
Almost sounds like the NoFo system.
It's got to be a zip.
Yeah.
So it's a zipped front rather than a zipped side of the UK SF one. So you can. So essentially, it's just a bivvy bag with a zipped head bit,
Yeah.
like that Corinthia looking one, similar to that.
Just without the zip.
Dutch one has a side zip, and you have much easier time getting in and out of it. Dutch one's better than UK SF one's shit. Not I've even seen one, but didn't even know they made one. That's how SF they are. Because can't see them. There's our SF.
Right, next week we have on the show Stu from
Stu.
One Legion and Patrol Base.
Yep.
Wicked.
Parade grounds. Is it parade grounds? They run as well. I don't know.
Okay.
What are you whittering on about there, sir?
He has a site as well, doesn't he?
Oh, does
runs a
he?
Site. Yeah.
Nice.
Parade grounds. Is it parade grounds? The one with the bridge. It's got a bridge. I know that much.
The bridge grounds.
So if
I've
you've got
done
any
a lot of
bridge-related
research.
questions,
Yeah,
bridges,
or anything
SR
about One
related.
Legion or
One Legion.
Patrol Base, then give us a
Patrol
shout.
Base.
Patrol base. Yep.
Yeah. Give us a shout. Put some questions in the chat. You can either do so bottom of this video, or you can attach them to our social media, and you can do that by getting in touch with us on our email at nofochat@hotmail.com. Our Instagram is at November_Foxtrot_NoFo, or on our website novemberfoxtrot.co.uk. If anyone's interested as well, we obviously still have our I was going to say our OnlyFans. Buy me a coffee. We definitely don't have an OnlyFans. It's Buy Me a Coffee. We are looking to make the Buy Me a Coffee membership a little bit more enticing. If anyone has any ideas of things that we could add to that as member-only content, perhaps just give us a shout. If anyone has any ideas,
Lance
let us know.
dressing up as
It's
a Babushka doll, apparently.
Babushka!
Got a big G
Babushka.
outfit for Red Tide, man. So Rob, don't hate the player, hate the game, man.
Oh,
Yeah, so next week we'll be back at Wednesday.
I don't
8
know what to say.
yeah, I don't know what to do. He's lost it. 3 weeks off has
I'm
killed him.
feeling progressively more ill, I'm not going to lie. I'm still struggling a little bit. Thanks everyone for joining us.
Bye, Andy.
Andy's gone completely. We obviously didn't get around to the specialist meal sim rolls.
But we had a bloody good time, didn't we, boys and girls?
We did.
Didn't we, just?
We'll do that as a separate video. We obviously kind of covered the recon recce aspect.
Fucking
But
recon
we
hall.
will talk about
Beat you.
Yeah, I'll come back to your point in a second, Rage. Yeah, so the we'll do that as a separate video, probably in a couple of weeks' time. Rage says, "While I think it's great that you're doing the Buy Me a Coffee thing, don't put content behind a paywall. Not everyone can afford to do it." So the idea with the sort of members only content is that you get it early, as opposed to not at all. If that makes sense. Hi, Andy.
My laptop
Hi, Andy.
was not charged. It just went, nope.
Yeah. So we're not going to be setting it up as a, you have to pay to engage with NoFo. That's not how we run it.
No,
It's
absolutely
just
not.
we're just trying to
It's
find
awkward
ways
enough
of
as it is.
enticing and yeah, we don't like asking for money anyway. It's really shit, to be honest with you. But it's just finding ways to try and get people to engage. So if anyone's got any ideas of how we can make that more attractive, let us know. Just buying people shit for having given us money is counterproductive, because we would end up spending more money giving you the stuff than you'd be giving us. So that's
Which
why
is
we need
daft.
to come up with some.
It's
Yeah,
a big learning
it's
curve
just-
for us, because it's not something that
It is.
we particularly want to do. It's more of a necessity side of it. So we are learning as we go along, and obviously we don't want to upset you guys. So yeah,
I mean, otherwise
us.
Andy's going to have to go around. I
am literally going to have to go.
National Airsoft
OnlyFans.
Festival dressed as Pigeon Lady asking for tips.
Yeah.
Yeah, asking for tits or tips. I can't go around
Tips.
asking for
I'll be out in the woods again. I'll no longer be able to afford to light or heat the castle, so I'll have to resort to the grounds. Boo hoo.
I think. I was going to tell one last story. So.
Oh yeah, gout,
I
and
suffer-
there was
yeah.
one other.
I can't remember the other one now. I suffer with gout. I occasionally tend to get a gout attack once a year. For anyone that's suffered with gout, it's horrible. It's usually caused by, for me, not drinking enough water. So if I don't drink enough water, crystals of uric acid basically form in the joints in my foot and make that incredibly painful. And I take something called colchicine, which is a sort of a tablet that helps metabolize those crystals and break that down and gets it out of your system. So I contact the doctors because I've run out of these colchicine tablets, and I was like, look, can I have like a batch of them? Because it'd be quite helpful. I don't have to ring you up when I have an attack. I can just take this. I know how to take the medication without overdosing. And they went, oh no, we can't give you too many of them because we worry about you overdosing. So they said, we can give you a maximum of 6 days, 2 tablets a day. So that's 12 tablets. Yeah. I got my prescription today for 50 tablets. So
Quick maths.
goodness alone knows
Quick maths.
who thought, because Oh, what could we possibly do to make sure he doesn't overdose? Give him 3 or 4 times the amount of tablets that he actually needs. So, well done, thank you.
Great.
I mean, it saves me prescriptions, which is good.
Nice one, doctors. You're best. I love you.
Ray says, "Could you not kill your parents for the inheritance?"
Could absolutely do that. That is an option.
We'll put that one on the list.
Yep, that's one to go for the brainstorming session.
Option 3.
Actually, bump that to option 2.
Right, guys, it's time to go. Say goodbye.
Oh, I promised Kenny we'd be doing a 3-hour sesh tonight. He's bought extra pizza.
3 hours.
You can do the after hours bit if you like.
I had to have haddock and rice, which was delicious, by the way. I must admit, I do like haddock. I like haddock. This is my haddock song. You ready? 1, 2, 3. I like haddock. I don't know what this is. It's him with his stupid buttons.
With his buttons.
We'll say goodbye. We'll see you all next week. Have a good week. And,
Bye-bye, everybody.
Stay NoFo.
Stay NoFo.
Ciao.
Yes. Ciao, Bella.
Oh, good. We'll do that.
Pressurized urine is a thing.